572.
So you are familiar with the 572?
Right.
Okay, okay. And you've used the XC5000 one time?
Yeah. This one. XC
Okay.
5000 this one.
Okay, I understand. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, but the main problem is this is difficult to connect the XC5000 into the software in the PC or the laptop.
You're having difficulty connecting?
Yeah, I mean that sometimes that the software shows the error message when we try to connect the software and the XC5000.
Okay. I have my my technician here, Jim, is going to help us out tonight, so you'll hear Jim answering most of your technical questions.
Okay.
Sometimes I need more. You don't have a screenshot or anything of that error message that you're seeing that you can share with us for more information?
I forgot to take this the picture of the error message because it has been 5 months ago when we give the training for the customer. So maybe one day if I get an error message, I can take a picture for you.
Okay.
Okay. Well, maybe it's best if we'll just run through the presentation at this point, and then we can answer questions as we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Techniques trying to do this. Okay. Okay. Well, we'll address that. We'll address that as you and I can share more information about it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we thought maybe the best use of our time this evening would be that we actually have a console on our network here at the office. So we could dial in and we could have Jim go through and show you basically setting up the profile, the test profile, showing you the system running and how everything interfaces with the software. Do you think that would be useful for you?
Yeah. That will be very useful for us. That's what we need.
Perfect. Well, I'm going to send the presentation controls over to Jim, and he is going to dial into the console and we'll narrate what we do or talk about what we do as we go through.
Yep.
Okay. Jim.
Okay, I'm going to kind of just start out from the kind of the very beginning. You have your software installed. You probably have a shortcut on the desktop. I'm just in the directory where the software is, so actually bring up the application. You just double-click on it.
Yep.
One of the things, if you're having connection problems, just high-level recommendation without knowing anything else, you want to make sure that your Ethernet link, when you plug your cable in, is up and established before you try to connect to the console.
Yeah.
And the other part is you want to make sure if you have wireless, if you're using a laptop and you're in your office, you have wireless on and you're trying to connect the console at the same time, make sure you turn your wireless off.
Oh, okay.
So you don't have so it's not trying to talk to two different networks at the same time. Sometimes I've seen that cause problems.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Got it.
So real high level, this is the main screen when it first comes up. My software might be a little bit different than yours. If you see something that looks different, just stop me and I can explain it. We probably need to look at upgrading the software you have on your console. I'm not sure what versions you're running, but that's something we can probably handle through emails, just some communication back and forth to make sure we get you everything you need.
Okay.
From the config utilities screen, normally you'll have your default address. You can see mine is it's on a network, but yours would normally be 192.168.1.5.
Yeah, I
That's the
can see
default
it.
when you plug into the front of the console. Okay. And from there, I just press the connect button.
Yep.
Okay. Once I'm connected, you can see, like in this particular case, I've been running a test. I'm already finished it.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start a new project. And this is going to kind of step through all the screens one at a time. If you see anything, ask questions as we go, or make notes. And again, you can email me, and I can answer questions that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you notice on the main screen where I just said new project, it cleared out all the little check marks that were on the screen, and this first button turned purple. What it's doing is stepping you through the proper sequence to run and actually set up the test before you actually start running. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So job info. This screen here is just to collect data. All this data that we're putting in here will be saved in your export file. So when you finish your run, you're going to have not only all the recordings of the temperatures and pressures and volumes, et cetera, you'll have all the site-specific information. So you have it all condensed in one place.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're going to talk about Method 5 first. The newer versions of software also support Method 201A,
Okay.
which basically runs at a constant sample rate with a variable dwell time at each point. If you're familiar with the method, we'll come back to that. It's basically the setups are about the same. The 201A has a little bit more detail to it. We'll come back to that in a few minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
English for metric. I assume you guys are all metric where you're at.
Okay. Right.
And these are defaults. These can be changed based on if you have different requirements for what you use for standardized volumes. You know, in Taiwan, they use 0 degrees C instead of 20. So they can be changed to whatever you need. You just put your value in and type what you need it to be.
Okay.
And that's what's used internally in all the calculations for the standardized volumes and that we go through.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Before you start a test, you'll do an audit, and we'll come back, and I'm going to kind of step you through an audit. But from right here, you could actually, if you'd already done your audit prior to your test, you can import that file. So again, it'll all be combined with your data for your test. But for right now, I'm just going to skip the audit because I don't have one to import for you.
Yeah.
Sorry. Excuse me. What function for pre-console audit?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
When we doing pre-console audit before doing sampling, or
usually you do it before a run, and then you'll do it like after the run, but that'll become the audit for your next run.
Oh.
Same way you do it in Method 5.
Yeah.
You have to do your checks before and after your tests.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, your other data. Okay, your gas composition. What is the stack moisture? You know, based on your source that you're looking at. What you want your heater set at.
okay.
Again, these are all just controls. Okay. If you can either put in up here, you can either put in the dry molecular weight if you know what it is, or you can actually put in the percentages of if you know what the stack composition is, and it will calculate that for you.
Okay.
Okay. Method 1. Again, a lot of this is basic method 5 type work. What are your stack dimensions? Okay, I say 3 meters, and the port is 1/2 meter deep, so we're trying to determine diameters. We're calculating here's your stack diameter. Come over here for your A and B. You know, where's your sampling port located at? That determines on how many ports or how many points that you need to sample at. So here's your calculation here, telling you what you need. You come down here. All right, how many ports do you have? Is it either 2 or 4? By 3. How long do you want each point to be? And you know, for our conversation tonight, I'm going to use kind of a smaller number, just so we won't sit here and watch it run for forever. But you can actually have this. It'll run and pause when you get ready to move to a new port, or you can have it pause at every point, or do not pause it. I'm going to leave it turned on right here to pause it before moving to a new port.
Back up real quick 1 second.
Yes.
Robbie, you may have stacks that only have 1 port, which I see common overseas lots of times. We don't have an option for 1 port, so you would still do 2 ports, but then you would sample that port 2 times.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. I get it.
And you also have an option if for some reason, based on if you can also override our defaults. And put in other values that you want. I can't do 1 port though. But okay, that's just something I didn't know. Okay. And in this one, normally I wouldn't do this in a live environment, but I'm going to go ahead and pause this after each sample point because I want you to see the alarms and things that happen on the screen when we tell it that we're getting ready to change a point. Okay. Here on this side, you're seeing all your measurements either to the wall or to the outside for the points that we have selected. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So far, so good?
Yeah, good. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, just kind of break in and stop me if I get going too fast, or I'll try to stop and give you guys a minute to think about it and come back. Excuse me 1 second here. Since this is not really in a live stack, what I'm using, this is a little tool that's included with the software, and what it allows you to do, what I did is right here, I put in a 0.5 to simulate a delta P, because I'm not connected to anything, but this way I can tell the software I've got a 1/2 inch, which is about 12.5 millimeters. You can see here it changed it to right here. So this is a good tool if you're working in the office, you're trying to demonstrate all the software, and you don't have a live delta P source. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, makes sense.
Okay, and the way I got to it, if you notice right here where the date is,
yeah.
Okay, all I did is I just clicked on the September part, and it pops that up. Okay, so if you're showing this to a client, it's really helpful that you can kind of demonstrate it more and actually have a value, because the system wants a value there to be able to sample.
Yeah.
And calculate things it needs. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so now I'm going to go into my method 2. All right, and now you can see the reason I left, this was reading a 0. That's why I had to go out and change it. So if I was going through doing velocity points, I'd come through here, point 1, and I would just step through all my points, and then what it's going to do is going to calculate what my average delta P is, and also my average stack temperatures. Okay. Yeah. Once that's complete, I just say use these numbers. It copies it over. Now it calculates all my velocities.
Mm. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. In
Yeah.
here, you can actually come in. Again, I'm sorry, I'm not beside my console, but your static pressure. I can come through here, and normally you insert your probe and you turn it, null it, and pull your backside off the same way you do on your manual system to find the value. And I'm just going to use these because it's kind of easy to do. But once this is done, I just say save it. I save it and save and exit. So now I've used that value here. If you already know it or have it from somewhere else, you can manually type it in. You don't have to go in and do that.
Okay. So we can enter it manually based on information from the company, maybe. Yeah.
Right there. I can type that in if I wanted to. Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Now that is absolute pressure.
Yeah.
Right. It's taken into account for whatever your positive or negative stack. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So now we're ready to select our nozzle. Again, and I don't know how you're doing this now. You're probably using a spreadsheet and you're typing all these things into a spreadsheet. This is just simplifying that for you and doing all this work for you. Okay. I'm saying use the live values.
Okay.
All right. Moisture, it carries over all the other information that we've already done, and it'll calculate your nozzle for you. All right. I'm going to say we're going to use a 6 because the calculated value is 6.1.
Yeah. Okay.
Accept that. Now I come into my K factor. Again, I want to say I'm using live values, and I'm selecting dynamic because what happens as you're running your test, if your stack temperature changes, your meter temperature changes, your pressures change, your K factor can change. The console will automatically recalculate these and make adjustments to maintain your isokinetics.
Okay. Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Now,
Got it.
if you did this, and you've probably seen some of the other slides you talk about, okay, all the way automatic or partially. You could still do all these calculations on like a spreadsheet, or if the customer's more familiar with that, and they can actually come down here and type in what K factor they want the console to use to maintain throughout the test. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
If I use manual, it's going to, whatever, like I put in 3.52 because that's what it calculated, it'll stay there all the time. If I'm using dynamic, if things change during the test, it will change for you.
Okay.
Okay. Now, before I go into pre-leak, you have some options up here under alerts.
Okay.
Okay. So what this will do, it'll flash alarms, or you can actually pause the test if you wanted to. But these are more reasons your temperatures get out of range from where you want them to be, or you hit a high vacuum and you want to stop and be able to change it. I got options of either just ignoring it, like this high vacuum level here, or I can say alert, which means I'll flash the screen and warn you that the vacuum's in trouble.
Yeah.
Or I can actually say pause the test, and it will actually pause the test, give you a chance on a high vacuum. If you have to change a filter or do something like that, you redo your leak check, and you can continue running your test. But it just gives you a lot of different indications. Okay, does that make sense from what we see?
Yeah.
So far?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Pre-leak. All right. This is where normally you're going to cap your probes off. You can come in here, and again, I'm not physically with a console, so I can't cap anything off. Just kind of stepping you through how this would work.
Yeah.
Okay. So I've just turned it on. But you can see the flows going up because it is open. I'm not really getting any vacuum here. But normally, what would happen is, your vacuum will come up, and your flow rate's going to drop down. Once you reach your levels here, it's going to tell you passed it, and it saves all these values in the export file when we're done.
Yeah.
You also notice across the top, we're in a pre-leak because we haven't started our test yet, but you also have an intermediate and a post-leak. So depending on where you are in your test, if you change a filter in the middle of a run or you're at the end of the test, it'll record all these separately and identify when they were done as either a pre or an intermediate or a post leak check. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm gonna save this. Okay, just warning, slowly remove your plugs. you don't break a filter or suck water into it.
Yeah, yeah.
And you tell it okay. And now I can tell it to stop, and it'll shut the pumps down.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, while you're here, you got your pitot test. Again, you apply a vacuum on the pitot, and it's not going to let me do this. I'm just trying to show you what the screen would look like. You can say how much drift you'd like and how long you want it to hold for. So basically, what you would do is you would apply, somewhere between 3 to 4 inches, which is 15. Sorry, I had it.
75 millimeters.
76. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, 76 to 100 millimeters. You'd apply pressure and hold it, and you tell it. Basically, you'd say test it, and it's going to complain because I'm not in range. And once you click the test button, it'll count this holding time down, and if you stay within the range here, it'll pass the test for you. And again, this gets recorded in your data. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The back leak test essentially is when you cap off your orifice tube on the back of the meter, and you apply your pressures. Now, internally in the console, we actually have bypass valves that isolate the sensor so you can do your test. Okay. The consoles that you have may not have those valves in them because based on when they were manufactured. It's something we added here probably March or so, I think. So that's something we could talk about, either how to add it later or something. But just if not, I also have a written procedure to do a manual leak check. It's not quite as easy as the software, but it'll still meet the specification that you need. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So basically, we've gone through. We've set up our test. We're up. Now we're ready to start sampling our data. Just waiting for the green button to come up. You can see here's my time, my points, which one I'm on, how long I've sampled, how long I'm going to sample, what my delta P readings are. I've got all my temperatures, temperatures, velocity, etc. Okay, and I tell it to go. So kind of while this is going to run for a minute, I want to let Lee get to the first point. But you've got some other options here. I come over here towards the delta H options in this corner. And if I wanted to manually set up delta H, kind of use this as a manual console, I could come in here and actually type in a target delta H number, then the console will follow it versus following what the software is telling it to do. I can also set my temperatures if I need to change my heater temperatures, which is typically not done, but it's there in case someone clicks on it and asks me what it is.
Mm-hmm.
We're just going to let this thing run for about a minute or so to just kind of let it sit ahead here. And while it's running, I want to look at something if I turned it on or not. Okay. Right here on that message one screen is where you tell it how long you want to, when do you tell it the alarm will come out. Also, what we do is the consoles now have a buzzer in them. So not only will you see something on the screen telling it's getting ready to happen, there's an audible alarm or a buzzer that goes off for the console. And that front display that Mick showed you, the front picture of the console, that will actually blink and do a countdown. So if you're not at your PC and you're just looking at the console, you can see it's time to change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We doing okay so far? Any questions?
For alarm that you said we can set right in each parameter that we can set the alarm. Do you have
That's
any
correct.
recommended? Yeah. Do you have any recommended number for each parameter for the alarm? For the
really.
set
I mean,
key?
there's some. Yeah, there's some. We put in some what we consider defaults ideas, but some of the important things that you want to watch for are like your oven temperatures and your filter temperatures.
Yeah.
High vacuum will start alerting you that you're getting close to a point where your filter is getting full.
Yeah.
Trying to see.
So it come up with this default number, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And you can change again. You can change these if you want a different range. You can put in whatever range. You just type in the numbers here.
Mm-hmm. But normally this number is safe for us to use it, right?
Yeah, the default numbers are pretty good. We actually, this system is actually used by some other companies that run test runs either 24 or 36 hours straight, and they're kind of unattended. So that's one of the reasons for a lot of these alarms we put in also.
Okay, got it.
Okay. If you had a chance, this was blinking before you kind of moved off the screen. I did set this to stop at every point. So we finished our first point. We're getting ready to start number 2. That's our current, and I am paused. I'm just going to tell it to go and let it continue. And then I'm going to stop it here in about a minute.
Yep.
Just basically, I want you to see the screens, kind of see how it's working. You can watch it for 1 minute or 10 minutes. It's going to keep on going.
Yeah.
While you're running, we're showing you here's your test average and what your last point average was. This last minute is a little misleading because we were paused for part of the time, so that's why it's not quite as accurate as you would question. Why am I getting a 37%? But that's because it counts as the pause time. But the two important ones are the test average and the last point average. And I'll show you that. We'll export this file, and I can kind of show you the layout of what the data looks like after you finish your test. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and end this test. Okay. And are you sure? I say yes. Leak check. Again, it's same screens that we use for the pre-leak, kind of keeping things consistent. We do flag it as a post-leak. For the method, the maximum vacuum observed was 1 millimeter. So that's what we're looking at for our test. Based on what your average flow for the test was, determines you're allowed 4%, which gives you a 0.81 liters a minute of a leak. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to accept this one.
So for time sampling each point, how long you recommend it, or we choose the time depend the situation?
The time for which?
Yeah, the each point time for sampling. How long your recommendation?
Yeah, that's based on the method and the source. Normally, it's about it's 5 minutes per point with a 12. On a 12 point, so it's like an hour. Do you have any input on that? I mean, I know it's in the EPA documents.
Yeah, usually it's a 1 hour test if it's for just particulates. Now, if it's a really clean source, you may need to sample longer. Or if you're sampling for metals or dioxins, you may need to sample longer so that you collect enough sample that you can measure it. You may have to consult with the laboratory to determine how long you really need to sample. And when you're like calculating your nozzle, if you have a really dirty source, you may want to go a slightly smaller nozzle. But then if you have a really clean source, you may want to go with a larger nozzle so that you collect more samples. So like in that very initial setup.
Yeah.
Okay.
So normally they use the 5 minutes, right?
It depends upon the number of points. So
Yeah. Normally it's an hour. So if you did 12 points, it would be 5. 24, you do 2.5.
Yeah. Okay, got it. Yeah, we got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we finished our test and everything's done. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to export the data.
Okay.
All right, and what it does, it creates a comma separated value file or a CSV file.
Yeah.
And we're going to let this guy finish here. Make sure before I go to open it, make sure you finished exporting. Okay. And here's the test I created. So basically, you can open up right with Excel. All right. And what we've done is to make this data easy to handle is at the very top block. What we have, this top is the entire test run.
Yeah.
Okay. And we record all the average temperatures, the average pressures, average delta P's, etc., all the way across, and calculate out of the ISOs for that. What was my volumes? We actually standardized the volume also based on what we put in on that other data screen at the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, and then we kind of drill down a little bit more. Here's your console info. So here's your serial numbers and software versions, etc., DGM serial numbers, things that you might need for reporting. And then we come into a summary. Now, we didn't run a whole lot of tests. Normally, the summary will give you one line for every point that you picked in your test. So in ours, if we would let it run the whole time, you would have had 12 lines here. If you look over here on the right-hand side, you can actually see is my port and point numbers. Okay?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
All right. And then, because just in case that's not enough data for you, below that, every minute, we actually record whatever the console is doing by the minute. So over here, you can see, okay, I've got 0.1, 0.1, 0.1, 0.1, 0.1, because we ran all these points. And then 2, and some of these we stopped them early and we did some pauses and things. Okay, but this is more for when you have all the data to work with, but also for troubleshooting and everything else. You can actually see what all is going on during the run. But probably the bigger part of being able to export the data from the run is I don't have someone sitting there with a clipboard trying to write all these numbers down and keep track of all this while the test is being done.
Yeah.
And, you know, along with all the calculations, and you got everything in one place. Like we said, remember we talked about the pre-leak tests right here? That's all recorded. We kind of simulated a stack pressure test. It's right here. This happens to be, this is an audit file that I loaded in from another earlier run, and I'll go to audits in a minute. But if you remember that second step where I just said skip the file?
Yeah, skip, yeah.
But this is one I'd already had preloaded in here. But what you can see is the actual, these are the audits. I'm going to show you the audit screens in just a minute. But it collects all this data. Again, it's all in the same file, same place. And then when you get done with all of that, all the information that you put into your project setup screens is captured here. If you remember, we said, okay, here's our standardized. Open this a little bit so you can see better. But all the information that we typed in, the names and address and pressures, that composition, everything. So you can come back and say, yeah, this is what I use to set up this test. Here's all the delta P's that we put in for our velocity points, nozzle calculations, stack temps, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's all in here. Here's my alarm settings, et cetera. Okay. Any questions about the data?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
Oh, good enough.
Okay, so we're still good, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so that's pretty much how you run through a test. I'm going to show you something, kind of go through a little bit quickly. You do not have this software yet, but it's something we can get for you. That's why I said earlier about we might need to upgrade your consoles.
Yeah.
But what we're doing is working on the method 201. And what we're going to do is we're going to come in here, and I'm going to change it to 201. And what this will do is going to prompt you, are you using a PM10 and 2.5 or just PM or just 2.5 by itself? Are you familiar with method 201?
Pardon?
Are you familiar with method 201A?
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay. Okay. That's fine. Audit works the same way. We're just, a lot of these screens will look very, very similar. A couple minor changes, and I'll point those out as we get to them. Okay. Yeah. What's some good numbers for you, Bill?
12. 7.
Yeah, I was going to say 8, but yeah.
Yeah. It should be the actually calculate that. So 1981.
Okay. 30. Okay. On 201A, these the composition is critical, so they actually want you actually have to enter the specific makeup of your stack gases. Okay. Moisture in the meter or moisture in the stack stays the same. All your temperatures stay the same. All right, your method 1. Doing the same thing here. If you notice here, though, you're not putting in time like we did in the last one, and we'll get to that in a minute. But the time is based on what your average delta P values are. So now when I go to my method 2, I have to put all these. I put all the values in again. I use the values, which I copy here, but now I set my sample time. And what I'll do is, I'm saying 5 minutes. What it's going to do, this is kind of a calculated, or if I actually did all those velocity points at different values, this time would be different for each point based on what the delta P is. That's a big part of the method 201.
Yep.
Robbie, do you want to go over this particle sizing part of the software right now, or not?
No.
Yes or no? I didn't understand.
No, I think.
Not now. Yeah. You would stick with method 5 for now?
Yeah. Because
Okay.
our common customer, they only use the method 5.
Yeah.
Because in Indonesia that our regulation that said only method 5 for now.
Okay. Well, just keep it in mind because it's probably going to be coming. And when the time comes, that you just be aware that the console can do it, and we can revisit this at another time.
Yep.
Okay.
Especially if you sell equipment to some university that may want to do research, we have the ability to do the particle sizing also.
Particle size, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to cancel out of this, and we're going to go back to the main screen. And I'm not going to, there's only a few different screens, but that's okay. Okay. Everything new. Okay, what I want to show you now is we talked a little bit about the console audits. I just went to the config utility screen from the main screen.
Okay.
And here's my console audit here.
Okay.
Now, when you're doing your audit, basically you're running all of your temperatures, thermocouples at 2 different points.
Mm-hmm.
My delta P, plus and minus, my barometer, delta H, vacuum. This is how you actually turn your valves on, etc. And then you actually do 3 points on the dry gas meter. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to do an audit, you're going to need a reference meter. This could be a wet test meter or a secondary reference device. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens? I'm going to see if I can just kind of load a file in here and kind of show you what it looks like. Okay. So the way you actually do your audit, you take all of your TCs, compare them against a reference device. This could be an ice bath with a thermometer. It could be hot oil. I don't know how you normally do that on your Method 5 equipment now.
Mm-hmm.
But what you do is you type in the value that your reference is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It reads what the value the console says it is, and if you're within the ranges, you'll pass. And you do that through all of your TCs.
Yeah.
Robbie, do you think anybody would actually do the audits in Indonesia?
No, we don't think so.
Okay.
No.
Okay. But and again, I'm presenting this from a pure Method 5, the way it's written. So I don't force you to do an audit. If you have it, we will import it and use the data. Okay.
Yeah, I think. Do you have any data that we can load for the software, because it's really difficult if we need to have some like reference meter and then we do some audit. Nobody wants to do that. Especially the customer.
Yeah.
Well,
what I was going to say, different states in the United States have different requirements.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I was recently in California. In California, they would do these audits every 3 months. Some states, they require them to do the audits every time they use it.
Oh, really?
Now, what you may want to offer as a service to your customers to do these audits for them, once a quarter, twice a year, once a year. You could do these audits for them and charge them money.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's good news.
Yeah, so I guess the software is built in to do this for you, and how you use it's going to be up to you.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
The same thing. Verifying the delta H sensors, the vacuum sensors, delta P, barometer. All these are done, and this will actually print out when you're finished with the audit. Like what Bill was just talking about, you'll get something that looks like this. That ain't it. Sorry. Oh, they have the bitmap. Wow. That's right. So when you're actually finished with the test, you print it.
Yeah. Okay.
And you'll end up with this, which you give to your customer, showing that you provided a service and done the calibrations, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh, yeah.
Like print screen, right?
So it's got it's a nice report.
This is a way you could make money every year.
Yeah. Yep.
And we all like to make money.
Of course.
Okay. The only other one thing I'm going to show you is I've talked a couple of times about updating software. When you get the new software, there's two pieces of software that make the console work. One is the part that works in the PC, and one is the part that actually runs in the console. When you load up your software, these numbers right here where you can see the version 40916, right? The 40916 is the part that's running on the PC. 1205 is the part that's running in the console. It's called firmware.
Firmware, okay. Yeah.
But those numbers are important because if you call me up or email me for support, one of the questions I'm going to ask you, what version are you running? So those are important things to know, okay?
Yeah. Okay.
To actually upgrade the firmware, all you have to do is when you connect to the console, you've got a button right here, firmware upload.
Okay.
You tell it yes. Here's the file, and I don't want to upload it in the middle of it. It takes about a minute or so. Actually, it doesn't. We'll do it anyway. So you don't have to open the box and plug cables in or do anything like that. You can do this all just from the laptop.
From the laptop, okay.
And it's located in the same directory as the PC software. On your laptop, you should have a directory, Apex_5. That's going to take a few seconds. Apex_5, right here. And if you notice, it's right under the C drive. That's where all the software, all the firmware, all the files go in one single place. Okay?
Oh, everything inside.
Everything's in here, so everything you need to run it is all here. Okay?
And CSV file also in that one?
The EXE?
CSV file that we report.
It's not here. It can be, but normally what I have my customers set up and create a call it like a data folder, maybe on the desktop or someplace easy to find. Because when I do an export, it says, where do you want to put it? So just normal Windows type command, and you tell it where you want it to go. And once you tell it the first time, it'll keep going back there. It'll default to that place. You can still change it, but that'll kind of be your default location.
Okay. Got it. Yeah.
Okay. All right, firmware is updated, and it wants us to exit. Because what that does is it resets the console. And we just come back in here.
Now, do you have to delete the old hex file, the old firmware?
No. What I normally do, and when you see the software, like if I send you the software, have you download it?
Yeah.
In the actual file name, like this right here, this apex_autokinetic 40916, that's the actual version of the software, so you can actually find it easy instead of having to load it in the software to figure out what it is. If you had an older version, it would have a different number on the end of it. Okay. And the same thing, here's my firmware we just talked about. Okay, it's 5 main firmware 1205. If you had an earlier version, it might be 900 or some other number. We maintain, that way you don't have to worry about overwriting a file and maybe needing it back. So and it's real easy for you to just look in this directory and find out what software you have. One other thing, where we're talking about software version numbers, in the CSV file right here, it's telling you, okay, what software and all the console was running when you actually did this test.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so a lot of times if you're having problems or you see something you're not sure about and have questions, I'm going to ask you to send me that CSV file from the run. That way I can look at the data and I can see, okay, what's going on and is everything correct, etc.
Yeah, okay.
And I deal with a lot of people with different countries all over, and especially with the time shift that we have, a lot of the work is email. So I mean, data files, screenshots, things like that are real helpful in us, supporting you the best way we can.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. Not going to spend a lot of time. I just want you to kind of. Oops, I didn't connect yet. Got to connect first. And as Bill was talking about, being able to do like the console audit, the next step in that is if you decided to start doing any kind of repairs or service work for your customers. What we're doing is we're going into the calibration screen. This is where you calibrate the thermocouples and the barosensors, et cetera, like that. It's fairly easy to do. What you do is, like in the baro, you find out from your reference device whatever the current barometric pressure is. You would type it in here, and if you click this little button right here, it's going to copy the value that the sensor says it is right now, and that's what establishes that value or correlates what you see on the screen to what the sensor is actually reading in digital values. Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty easy to do, but if you want to start doing this, you may actually want to come to the United States for some factory training.
Yeah, I'm just trying to familiarize yourself where these things are. Now, one thing for your customers, though, down here, this is one thing you probably would definitely want to do, where user console name, this is where you change the name of the console. So instead of like this says, stock test, this could be Jim's console or whatever your customer name is, so they can kind of personalize it for them.
Yeah.
Because if you notice, like up here, every time, when you load it up, the name's up here. When you're connected, it's also in your export file. So it's just another way of customizing it for your customers.
Test. Okay.
Okay.
There it is.
That's pretty much what I had to show you. I'll be glad to go back through anything or answer any questions.
Uh, for this software, it can run in Windows 7 version or Windows 8 7 version.
Yes, Windows XP, Windows 7, and Windows 8.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, just don't run it on Windows Vista or ME because they're bad software anyway.
I think I have
it runs 32-bit, 64-bit. It doesn't matter. Standard PCs. Okay. It's not very demanding application, so you don't need like a high-end PC or anything to run it.
Okay.
You know, I'd stay away from the very, very inexpensive the old netbooks and things. But just a normal PC, you'll be fine.
Yeah, yeah. It can run in the netbook also, right?
Not recommended. Netbooks are just they're not too good for anything. They're a little weak. The processor's a little weak.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yes, it will run. I'm not sure I'll be happy with the performance. There's nothing stopping it from running.
Okay, okay, got it. Because
it's kind of like running any program on a netbook. You might find it just slow and sluggish, just because the netbook is slow and sluggish by itself.
Correct. So I think I have found the main problem because previously we installed it in the netbook because the customer only had the netbook.
Okay. Yeah, I recommend just and I'm going to say a basic laptop versus a netbook.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Got it. Not that.
And also, if you can let me know what, I know you don't know top of your head what versions of software, we can make sure we get you up current because we've done a lot of things to improve the connectivity and stability and added features and things like that. So we need to make sure we keep you current on the software thing.
Okay.
And you can find our software. Are you familiar with our website?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
Right on the main page, if you come right here in the middle where it's all in red, access, software, blah, blah. Okay.
Yeah.
Go here, Apex software, and you've got other things that you can see, but Apex software. And what we're looking at is the XC5000 software. Okay. So it's here. What you're looking at, is the latest data, or what advice from us here in the support group. We'll be glad to tell you what you need. But that's the quickest way to get it versus us trying to email it, because emailing program files, different email security systems block them and things like that. So typically you can come and get it from here. Okay.
So this is the latest one, right?
Yeah, this one right here. This 40905. I'm sorry. Yeah.
The latest one.
That's the latest one.
Yeah. Got it.
Okay. Any more questions?
Not for now. I think I need to go back to customer and then we need to find out what's the problem. Yeah, what's the main problem?
If anything we can do, especially if they're having any kind of issues.
Yeah.
Also, I'm going to show you one more thing on the website. If you look under contacts, here's all the technical folks. This is me right here, Jim. I know you got John's email and stuff. Email me questions, things like that, and I'll be glad to get to you.
Okay. Thanks, Jim. Okay, Jim. Thanks, Jim.
Be ready for the
email.
A lot of questions.
I'm kind of used to it, but that's what I'm here for.
Okay, Jim. Okay, thank you.
If you have a customer having any kind of problems at all, we want to definitely make sure that they get resolved. And
okay.
Right now, we don't know enough to be able to offer anything, but
yeah. Okay.
One more thing, guys. Tonight's presentation we recorded. So maybe in the next few days I will put it on YouTube.
Okay, thank you.
Send you the link so you can watch it again for more information or look back.
Yeah. Yep. Thank you.
And we hope we have a million view, right?
Yeah. That means you're going to sell 1 million consoles, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people like the video, right?
There you go. Well, can we help you with anything else today?
I think
enough for now.
Enough, and thank you very much for your help, for your presentation and your machine. Yeah, this is late night over there. I'm sorry because you need to wake up until this time.
No, we understand.
No problem.
Just leave me.
No problem. Well, thank you guys, and have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good day. Thanks. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye, John. Bye, Jim. Thanks.
Bye, Jim.
Bye now.
Bye.